What's going on, guys? I'm Degidio, and we are back with another Jaxxon podcast. I'm sitting here with the greatest co-host of all time, Rampage Jaxxon, and the one and only, possibly the greatest sports nickname of all time, the human highlight, Dominique
Thank you,
Wilkins.
man. Glad to be here. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, that human highlight film, that nickname came by accident, really. Yeah, because most people think I got that name when I came in the NBA, but I got that name when I was in 11th grade.
Wow.
So it's a long story, but I can give you the short version of it.
Let's hear it.
I was in a camp. It's called 5-Star Camp in Milledgeville, not Milledgeville, I'm sorry, Pennsylvania is where this camp was. And so in the All-Star game, I scored like 41 points, right? And they said that they couldn't tell how I was scoring the points because it was kind of unorthodox type of style. And they said, you know what, forget about it. We just going to call them a human highlight film. And I'm like, I don't like that name. I hated the name. But as I got older, I was like, wait a minute. I can make some money off this. And so it stuck. And so, but yeah, it was a guy named Howard Garfinkel, who's passed recently, that gave me that name in 1970, I think it was 77. I got that name.
Wow. That's a year before I was born.
Yeah, that's telling my age now.
Hey, you look good, though. You look better than him.
Oh, thank you.
I ain't going to go that far. We going to go that far.
He got a great skincare routine. I told you to get some better leave-in moisturizer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the compliment.
No worries.
Hey, well, okay. I'll go with that. But, since y'all say that. But, yeah, it's been a long, wonderful ride,
Yeah.
If you had to pick your own nickname, what would it have been?
Human highlight film. Yeah, again, I never really thought about it until, that happened. Then next thing you know, because actually it started with Dr. J and the Iceman. Those were the first iconic nicknames. And still to this day, those names still resonates because those guys was great players. They were super players. And I had an opportunity to play with those players in their prime.
Well, we used to call Bear Polar Bear. That was his nickname.
Polar Bear.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
Because he's bi. Polar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Great nickname.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Great nickname.
That's pretty good.
Well, it happens. He was so upset because we used to call him Rampie. And I say, Rampage, you got to stop eating the pies. We won't call you Rampie. And then, now he's Rampage, one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time.
No question about it. Matter of fact, I've seen quite a few fights.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I love the sport. And, I had a chance to go to a couple, and I got a newfound respect for what they do. Hey, man, them guys are hard, man. The punishment they take, I don't know any other sport to take that kind of punishment.
It's a tough sport, I tell you.
It is. It is, man. Just watch and see what you guys, oh, man. It's incredible.
It's interesting you bring that up because me and Rampage always talk about like an MMA fighter, you have to be a different breed to be able to know that you're going in there. You're like a modern day gladiator. But when you were playing basketball at the height and in your prime, compared to what we see in today's time, the fouling, the elbows, it was a completely different game.
Let me tell you something. That era of basketball was physical, man. It was physical. Because I remember when I first came to the league, I took a lot of punishment. And I said to myself, man, I got to come back with some extra pounds with me because I'm getting pounded. And so I wanted to do a little pounding. And so it made you respect the game more. It made you respect the guys you were going against. Like, you see guys, pumping the chest, popping the jerseys and all that, flexing them up. Couldn't do that. Could not do that.
Why?
Because the guy's going to see if you're really about that. You tough like that? Okay, we're going. I'll tell you, I made a mistake my first year. And that's when I really learned. We were playing against the Nets, and they had Daryl Dawkins, who they called Chocolate Thunder. And I dunked on him, and I'm pointing, and I'm talking trash, right? And he just looked at me and said, okay. That's all he said. Next play, that almost identical play, I went up and he put his elbow in the middle of my chest, slammed me to the floor, and stood over me, and he dared me to get out. I was pissed off. But I just laid there, until he moved. Then he blew his elbow, said, don't ever try that shit again. He said, now get up and shoot 2 free throws. I got up, brushed myself off. I shot my 2 free throws and shut my mouth.
What?
Hey,
it's a different era.
Listen, you ain't going to fight him. 280 pounds. I'm 210, 215 soaking wet. I'm not going to challenge him. But them big guys back then was brutes, you know. And so if you got a center and you got a power forward is exactly what it says. Is a guy who has a license to kick your butt.
Oh.
And so it was a physical position. Those guys was gladiators. They were warriors. And so every team had 2 or 3 of those guys. And so they were your protectors. You know, they kept you, you know, harm-free, basically.
Similar to like an enforcer in hockey, how every team's got their one guy who you know is going to stand up for the team. But how did this era, like where did this era that we're in right now, modern day basketball, where did it lose that physicalness to
Well,
it?
I think because of basketball has opened up worldwide. And so to open up worldwide, you got to take some of that physicality away, you know, because at one point when I came to the league, we had maybe 2 or 3 European players in the whole league. That was it. Because now the basketball has gone global, you know, how do you get that interest to come over here? Well, you got to make it an even playing field where now you've taken some of the physicality out of the way, like the hand check was back in our day. You can't do that. If you put your hands on a guy, it's a foul. Or if you touch a guy too hard in the chest, it's a foul. And so you got more freedom of movement now than we had. And hey, it's great for the game. You know, and because I tell you, if it was around when we played, I might have played 4 more years. You know? So, hey, God bless him, man.
So you like this era better a little bit?
Not necessarily, no. Now, all the benefits of this era, for sure. But I just love the way we play the game from the inside out instead of the outside in. I mean, we are all guys, especially perimeter guys who could shoot the 3 and all that. But the 3 wasn't that important for me. I wanted to get the guy that I'm guarding or guard me in foul trouble early because now I create an advantage for myself. And I shot the 3 if it was necessary. I still made over 500-some threes in my career, but it wasn't what I looked for. I was just looking to find an edge any way I can.
Yeah, Bear says he liked the old era better because of the outfits. He said he used to like a little bit of shorts better back in the day.
We had a lot of courtside participation. It was good.
We do like the vintage throwback jerseys. I don't know about the shorts.
The shorts were special, that's for sure.
There's a crazy story that I actually heard from a couple guys. Not sure if we're allowed to talk about it, but you were drafted in '82, and there was a potential that you could have been a Showtime Laker.
Oh yeah, that was close. It was actually what was told to me that they was trying to get both Worthy and myself, and it worked out for both franchises. You know, because Worthy is a wonderful player, I have a lot of respect for, and we both came out of North Carolina at the same time. But yeah, they almost had us both. Can you imagine that?
Insane.
Can you imagine that?
So what ended up happening that it didn't go through? Because we know that also with your draft pick, there was a huge
Worthy again, like I said, is a super player, so he could play both forwards, the power forward or the small forward. You know, I didn't want nothing to do with power forward. I'm a small forward, but it just came down to what your team needed, and Worthy worked out great for the Lakers and went on to win multiple championships. You know, he was a major piece of that, and just wish you could have been a part of that, you know, early on. I mean, so much success early. That was the Lakers. The Lakers, you had the Lakers, and it's always had that Boston rivalry. So you saw that a lot in the early 80s.
Yeah, I mean, even in terms of that rivalry, we also heard because of the position, and we'll get into a little bit of your backstory, but when you were drafted, there was a massive trade that went down, right? Big money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it was big money then because I didn't want to play in Utah at that time. And I got drafted by the Jazz. I'm not going to Utah. Then they said, you know, you're going to play small forward and power forward, and Adrian Dantley going to play small forward. I said, well, y'all might as trade me today because I am not playing power forward, you know. And it came pretty quickly that this trade was going to happen. So they traded Freeman Williams, John Drew, and $1 million. At that time was a ton of money because the Utah franchise was struggling. And so that helped really pay some of the salaries.
I mean, to see like a player have that much, you know, I don't want to say positioning, but you were able to basically negotiate whatever you wanted for yourself because they knew your value and they knew what you could do. We don't even see that at all anymore.
Well, I just knew that the power forward position wasn't going to be something that was going to be sustainable for me during that time because the guys you had to play against, you had, the Maurice Lucas, who was the enforcer back then, the Larry Smith, the Otis Thorson. Man, I'm not trying to guard them guys, man. And because, again, them guys was 240, 250, 260 pounds. Again, I'm coming in at 210, 215. Nah. They can have that. I'm not doing it.
I mean, the weight advantage too, like even for fighting, it's a big deal. Like understanding your position, right? You have to go into a fight. You kind of have to make sure you have some sort of advantage or at least even playing field.
Yeah, that's why I stayed at 205 for most of my career because I would have been a small heavyweight. And if you're a small heavyweight, if you weigh over 205, say like 207 and all the way up to 260, you could have to fight somebody that had to cut weight to get down to 260 and you ran like 210.
That's a big
difference.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
And then people understand weight means a lot. It makes a difference in winning and losing, in a lot of situations. So, you want to stay with a level where you know that you can compete and you can have sustainability over time.
Did you feel that being light too was also easier for you to dunk or better for athleticism at the time, or did you just not weight lift at that time?
Well, I didn't have a lot of body fat, and I worked out, I trained, I never stopped playing, and so I wanted to be quicker than anybody else, and athletically, of course, you're born with athletic ability, but you still have to work on your game, work on your body to sustain it over time. So, for me, my game was, I played the game at one speed. And that was all out all the time. That's the only way I knew how to play. But to play that way, you got to train that way.
You always played that way, even growing up?
Yeah, even when I was younger, maybe because I was, did something wrong and I was running home after doing something wrong. And so it made me fast. But, but I always been an athlete. I started out in track and field. I ran the quarter, the mile relay, high jump, and triple jump. So track gave me that endurance for basketball. So I still hold my high school record in the quarter mile. Back then I ran a 47, 48 quarter mile. Back then. Wow. Yeah. So,
I mean, to be that athletic and that tall is probably a huge advantage at the time, especially when people didn't have the best trainers or the best athletic team behind them.
Well, when I was on the track team in my first year of high school, my cousin and had another guy who was a quarter milers, but both of them were sick. So they said, "You got to run a quarter." I said, "No, I high jump, triple jump. I'm not sprinting." And they're like, "No, we seen you run. You'll be okay." And they said, "Just run it all out." And I didn't know how to run it. I ran it out and broke his record the first time I ran it.
No way.
And I was sick when I got to the finish line because they told me to run it all out. Now I almost passed out. When I got, that's not how you're supposed to run it, But yeah, I broke my cousin's record the first time I ran it.
Did you ever want to go do track and field after that? Like,
I ran for another year, But the thing is, when I got to college and I saw real runners, world-class sprinters, I'm like, nah, this ain't for me. This is good to work out, but not to compete with. Yeah. So. Because them guys have taken years of training to be able to run like that. I'm just coming into it,
No, it makes sense. I mean, even in terms of the way your pedigree went with your high school legendary career, and we were talking about families and how that kind of shapes a person. Rampage had a unique upbringing, which helped him become one of the best world champions the world ever seen, a very accomplished entrepreneur in person. Same with yourself. Growing up, family of 12, you would have to go to the park and play games for money and food and then become one of the greatest basketball players the world's ever seen. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, I like over time how they give me extra family members too. But actually, it was 11. I had a brother who passed, but it was 11 of us. But when you grow up and your mom takes care of all the kids by herself, somebody have to step up in the family. This to become the man of the house or help, your younger brothers and sisters. And I was able to do that because I had to take that role. And I left home when I was 16. And that's when I got discovered in North Carolina the next day. But it gave me the chance to prove to myself that I can do something and be successful at it. Because I put a lot of time and effort and belief, but you always had those doubters. And I'm sure you had them doubters like, oh man, it ain't gonna be nothing. But I use it as fuel to prove them wrong. And I've helped my family for man, even up to this day, that, because it was important to me because my father wasn't in our life. So to have my mom raise all those kids, it was time for her to rest. And it was my turn, because she gave up her adult life to make sure that we had. So it made me stronger as a person, but also made me more driven to make sure that she didn't have to work that hard anymore. And that's for me, the best thing I've ever done in anything I've ever done.
It's pretty incredible to have that mindset too, to have no ego at the level of saying, hey, it's my turn to kind of step up for a family.
Yeah.
I know Rampage inspires a lot of fighters, similar concept, taking care of everybody, taking care of his family. We see it here day in, day out. So we get to see that from these top level athletes, and it's an inspiring story for the people who watch this.
And people, and I know you know this, and you talk to people about this. It's like, this is not a job, what we do. It's a love for what we do.
Yeah.
When you have that, it makes it a little easier because we already know what we want to do. We try to perfect, our skills in our respective sports. And so it's a love. I never looked at it as a job. I think the biggest job is, dealing with family and making sure they had a quality of life. But what we do, this is what we enjoy. This gives us the opportunity to make it easy, not just on ourselves, but on them.
Yeah.
So
I loved it. I didn't start hating the training until I got older and got injuries.
of course.
But I still love the fights, but the training, once the injuries started piling up.
You trying to find ways that, man, maybe I do something today, but tomorrow I'm going to take this tomorrow off. Maybe I'll miss this game, But I love to play. Yeah. So I rarely ever miss games, but there's times where you need to take time for yourself. You got to recover, because the body is not a machine. You got to have that recovery time where you can compete even better the next time you go out. So, but you know when you have to do that.
Yeah. You talk about, I might take this game off. That's an interesting topic because we see a lot of talk right now on the internet about load management. And when me and Rampage talk about MMA, and I love correlating the two sports because it's so cool to sit at a table with two world champions and, two people that are the best at what they did. But one thing is the game different now that load management is such a prominent figure?
Load management is an interesting statement. I think it's ridiculous.
Really?
Look, we are paid to provide a service. That's just the way it is. We signed up for this. If you look at, barring any injuries in my career, I never missed more than 4 or 5 games in a season.
Wow. I
love to play the game. I'd have played the game for nothing. That's how much I loved it. To, come up and invent all these different ways to not play, it's crazy to me. Because the fans, they come to see us. They revere us. They love us. And I think we have to give that same respect back. And so when you take off 25, 30 games a year, I'm like, wow.
That's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games, And so I've never done that. Through my whole career, I've never done that.
So, your opinion, and not to get political, but your opinion on a guy like Kawhi Leonard, one of the greatest in the game, but misses half the season sometimes and no one knows why.
This is the thing. If you have injuries that you're hampered with and needs attention, it is what it is. I never question a guy who's injured. But if you're healthy and you can play, you should play. You should play. We used to have veterans, and that's who really taught me a lot about really respecting the game. They said, look, I know you're a little banged up tonight, but can you give us a few minutes? Give us a few minutes, because that's the difference in winning and losing. Damn. That's what we were about.
Damn, who were kind of the veterans that would set that tone?
So I had Dan Roundfield, who was pound for pound one of the best power forwards, play the game. Tree Rollins, 7-foot center. I believe I was the only rookie on that team.
Wow.
So, them vets taught me a lot. but you respected them, you know. And they didn't hand the keys to you as a great player coming in as a rookie. You had to earn that. You had to earn it. They wasn't giving you anything.
It's kind of similar to sparring, right? You go into a new gym, you're a young fighter, like you got to put in rounds with everybody. You can't just sit on the sidelines and wait for the perfect guy.
Right.
How was it? How was it with you guys with finding talent with sparring? Actually, would you just take any rookie?
Would I take any rookie?
Yeah.
When rookies come in, yeah. If they my size,
You would just say, "Hey, yeah, I got to go some rounds with me."
Yeah. If we have a tight knit team and a new guy come in and stuff like that, and he want to join and hang out when he's already been vetted by everybody, yeah, you gotta get in there.
Man, that's scary with you guys, you know, because you're putting your hands on people.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a different.
That's a whole different
I watched
animal,
them sparring
man.
here, and I go, bro, I can't. Even if I trained, I don't want to do that. Like that, you had to be mindset on a whole nother
I
level.
remember when I was a rookie, I came in and trained with Tito Ortiz and Rico Rodriguez. And Rico was a heavyweight. You know, I didn't mind going with bigger guys, and they took turns kicking my ass, but it made me a better fighter. That's how I got better. I got good really fast. Kicking it, and they was kicking my ass. But the difference between me was after my fight, I would only take a week off, and I'd be back in the gym. They would take months off, and maybe like a year or so.
Oh wow,
I was better than them.
Well, I know. I saw it firsthand. You know, you was for real deal, my brother.
Oh, thank you.
But the conditioning they have to go through.
Oh my God.
And your body have to be ready for that kind of punishment, man.
I mean, you still work with the Hawks, right? And,
Yes.
And you still work with a lot of top talent. What do you think is the biggest conditioning connection between when you guys played versus today's? Because you guys played way more games than they did.
You know, I think, you know, the way we train, the way we practice, you know, like we would do training camp for 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, you know, until you get out of that first month of the season. Training camp now is 3 days, 3-4 days, you know, and it's a lot of it is not contact. You have one practice that's contact, one that's more learning, teaching. And so it's the way we train for that season.
Yeah.
Our training camps, and let me tell you, practice was always harder than the game. And because that makes you ready and better to get ready to play. Because practice always should be harder than the game. It should always be harder.
Really?
Because that keeps you from injury. Because a lot of guys get injured early before they even play a game, you know, going into the regular season, either in training camp or preseason. You know, a lot of guys are not ready. But we were ready to play at the end of that preseason. I mean, our practice, man, you had guys going at each other in practice. You know, it was no friends in practice. Now after that we didn't, you know, get too personal with that kind of stuff because we didn't hold it against one another because it's just about business. And we all would go out and eat together every practice, the whole team.
No way.
We would go out to eat together, find a restaurant and go out to eat. We were a family. And I think that's the difference.
How was that when y'all wanted to eat? Did one person pay the bill or you all?
Oh, boy, I'm glad you asked that question. So my first year at training camp, and we go eat, right? And they said, "Look, we're gonna go to this restaurant, and everybody's going to eat." I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm good, I'm down." So we get to the restaurant, everybody order what they want. At the end of the meal, they say, "Rook, take care of the bill." I'm like, "Man, I can't pay this money, man. What you talking about? That's a lot of money." They said, "We're going to get it one way or the other, so you might as well pay for it." But that was one of the things you had to go through. You got to pay your dues, you know, when you're a rook. But every team did it. Every team did it. And so when I became a vet, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to take them rookies to dinner. So, and again, man, it's just a level of respect that you have to have. But the thing is, it brought all of us together. It brought all of us together.
What would those bills be? Those dinner bills? What?
Man, back then, okay, you say a $2,000 or $3,000 bill in the 80s. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money back then.
That's a lot of
you
money.
wasn't born in the 80s.
Yeah.
I was born in 90.
Listen, man.
1990.
Because, you know, we used to get like per diem on the road. Per diem was only like $35 to $75 when I first came in.
Per day?
Per
Per
day?
day.
It's not even going to get you in and out.
Per day.
What's that going to
But
get
now,
you?
Back then,
now
man.
they
Oh, yeah,
now
yeah,
they don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
use the per diem. You know,
They
don't need it.
Y'all so rich.
They don't need
now.
it. They don't need it.
Oh, you
But-
get a per diem still to this day?
Yes.
The players
Yes.
still to this day.
Oh,
even though they're making $30 million a year, they get a per diem.
Absolutely.
How much is per diem now? Did it go up to?
Man, it's
10,000 a
It's
day.
up there, but I don't know what it is though. But it's up there. So hey, I'm happy for them, man. You know,
That's
they
crazy.
getting what we didn't get. So I'm
I
happy.
can't
for
imagine being a team owner and having to worry about paying this guy $50 or $500 a day for food when I'm paying him $30 million a year.
Nobody's worrying about it. Trust me.
No,
Man, they're
I'm worried
making
about
a
it.
killing. The NBA making a killing.
yeah, I
I'm
gotta
worried
ask you a
about it.
question. How is it that these NBA teams are able to pay these players so much money?
Well,
right
it's
now?
a lot of moving parts. It's just not about, the gate. You look at these TV contracts. I mean, they have more than enough to take care of everybody. And I think it's great. And the TV deal is even bigger now. And they just signed a huge TV deal to NBA. So, man, I'm happy for what these guys are doing. They're becoming not just players, but they're becoming brands and corporations. So it's wonderful to see. You have kids that's coming up that, you want to see, sharing some of that. And I have a son who's 6'11",
balling.
baller.
We need him
so
on the NIL deal.
I want him to experience that. So
He's incredible.
he can go.
Yeah,
He can go.
we'll talk about the NIL
How
after
old
this.
is he?
17.
Oh wow.
17.
Yeah, kills it too. He's got a lot of style to his game too. Very confident. on the
No, he
court.
said to me, he went for his first unofficial visit to Georgia because he's going to Georgia after this season. And he said, all the coaches was there, and he said, "Dad, you at 17, me at 17, who's better?"
Ooh.
I said, "Listen, son, if that makes people think that you're gonna make a whole lot of money and do very well, I'm all for it, son. If that makes you think that you're better, you're absolutely right. You better." I said, but don't get it twisted. I said, because I never talked to him about my high school career a lot with him, right? I said, "What did you average this year?" He said, "I averaged about 18 and 11 or 12. I said, "That's great numbers for high school at any level."
Yeah.
He said, "What did you average?" I said, "I did okay." I said, "I averaged 30 and 16. He like, "What?" I said, "Don't get it twisted, son."
I mean, you had an incredible high school career, and your son's playing phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, too, in today's time, the way coaches and the way these games are running with AAU and travel, it's like everybody's trying their hardest to be the best now. High school and college is like these kids are becoming just as popular as NBA
Yeah, he
players.
does. And my son, he, a lot like a lot of other kids. They train a lot. He trains every day, works out every day, and I'm really impressed what he's become because he is not just a tall guy who can dunk the ball. Yeah, he flies above the square, but he can shoot it. He can handle it, rebound, block shot. He can do it all, and that's just the way those young guys train now. But they have all the different, opportunities to use the best equipment, the best technology, the best medical. They got it all. I mean, in every sport, got the best overall amenities that you can find. And now these guys using it to their advantage.
Yeah. I mean, we even talk about social media. Can you imagine if you had social media
man.
your day and age with the nickname, the Human Highlight? What would your brand deals have looked like back then with that?
I'd be in Europe right now. I'd be on the boat. Social media, if we had it back then with the type of players that I was able to play against and with, you look at Magic, look at Jordan, you look at Iceman, Kareem, Moses. I mean, it's too many guys. You imagine if they had that type of branding, it'd be off the charts.
How was it playing against Jordan?
Jordan was an assassin. He did something that I've never had anybody ever do, that I've ever witnessed. So I think I had 57 in Atlanta, and we had to go back to Chicago a little while later. And he walks into our locker room, suit and tie, and I'm like, it's doing in our locker room, I'm like, what's going on here, right? I'm thinking he may be going to the training room, right? But he walks by me, he walks by Kevin. When he get to one of my teammates, Randy Whitman, he tapped him on the butt. He said, "Lace him up, it's going to be a long night." And I didn't know what to say. I'm shocked. And he walks out, right? And I said, well, you tell that son of a bitch, Scotty, I'm gonna kick his. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. I just do, and because I'm in disbelief, he had 60 that night.
Damn.
Michael Jordan walks into your locker room before the game.
He had 60 that night.
Taps your teammate and says, lace him up, and then drops 60 on you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think I might have said to Scotty, I said, I've never had anybody do that come in our locker room like that.
He was playing mind games.
Yeah, but it blew me. We won the game, but I couldn't get over him walking there. And I asked Scott, I said, he ever done that to any other team? I said, because that had to be well thought out.
He was worried about you guys.
That's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Were you and Scottie Pippen friends?
No, we were competitors, and I have a lot of respect for Scotty. I mean, Scotty, he was a super player. So we have a lot of respect for one another. We were competitive. Now, if we ever hung out and stuff like that, we didn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't, because we didn't want another great player to get that close to us.
Yeah.
So we wasn't close with a lot of guys. Now, I was close with Magic, and Jordan and we came up around the same time, and it was certain guys like Clyde Drexler that I was close to, but it wasn't a lot of guys. They got some guys to this day that I don't like, to this day, because that's the way we competed. You
don't like them because of basketball, not because of them as a person, just because they were
probably a little both. But you always have to have one person that you just can't stand.
Oh yeah,
and you just don't know why you can't stand them.
Sometimes just be their face.
Yeah,
who you don't stand.
The way they,
I knew his face.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. That's crazy.
What's your nickname again?
Polar Bear. Yeah. We're gonna edit all that out.
Some days he's nice and he's uplifting.
Yeah.
And then some days he's just a bully. He just talk cash money shit.
Yeah.
Well, I just told him, when you eat desserts, it brings you down, brother. So I gotta cut that out of your diet.
That's when you bipolar. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See what you do? Now you got the. Oh man.
I would say I went with Rampage and bipolar last week.
Thanks, Rampage.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Rampage. One of the greatest to ever play the game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's better than the nickname.
No, we won't even go that far.
We can't go there.
Don't go there, because
I hang out with him more than I hang out with my family. So now we became very close this year.
I got you.
He helped me put together this podcast. We're celebrating 1 year anniversary this last week. We did over 150,000, 200,000 subscribers. I think we're close to. We did over 100 episodes. We completely, I think, reshifted the way we look at MMA and sports podcasting, and we kind of have really good, fun conversations. And it's been an incredible journey. And we did all this from our jewelry brand, Jaxxon, the #1 men's jewelry brand. And I said, instead of wasting a bunch of money on TV, let's put money into the talent and the community and the people around us and try to just build something special.
Well, congrats, man. This is great, man.
Yeah.
Great stuff that you guys are doing.
He's doing it for the guys. He's doing everything for the guys. I want to do something for you guys. Now, the name of your team is the Hawks, right?
Atlanta Hawks, man.
Atlanta Hawks. See, I wanted to redesign you guys a new jersey.
Okay.
And I want to put it the Hawk Tours. and spit on that thing.
You know what? I'm gonna talk to our people and see how that would go over.
We want to bring the Hawk Tour girl to the games, have it right there with the mascot. I think we'll bring in a lot more fans, sell a lot more jerseys.
Oh my God!
Let me tell you, our marketing would probably, if it makes money, it makes sense.
Speaking of Hawk Tour, let's talk about some actual athletes. When we see people in today's time, we don't see a lot of documentaries on them while they're playing, but we saw the Jordan documentary during the lockdown, during the pandemic. Do you think the Jordan documentary accurately portrayed that era of basketball and him?
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
I never even seen it. And I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Because we lived it. I saw it, every game. I know his mentality. I mean, it's been since college. I saw it in him in college, believe it or not. He was a freshman when I was a junior. And I saw it then, the toughness, his determination, the will to win. So that was this common knowledge back then. So I didn't have to see the documentary to know a lot of that stuff is factual.
We talk in 1996, we talked about me and Rampage before you got here about the Hall of Fame and you as an athlete and your career being so incredible. So you become a Hall of Fame inductee, and then 85 and 90, I think you won the slam dunk contest twice.
Yes.
We have one of our Jaxxon athletes, Mac McClung. I've been supporting him since he was in
He's
8th
a great
grade.
kid.
Great kid, and he won it. Obviously, a lot of respect for you, and he was on the podcast as well. Who do you think is one of the best modern day dunkers, like right now in the NBA?
Ooh, it's a lot of guys, and some of the guys I wish would get in the slam dunk contest that don't. John Morant, at his size, man, it's incredible. LeBron throughout his career could have competed in any dunk contest. It would have been great to see him get in one. But when in today's world, you got so many things that's distracting. Do you really have time for all, especially if a guy is at his level? So, a lot of respect for him. But what a wonderful athlete. I think another guy before the injuries and retiring now is Blake Griffin.
Oh, wow. Yeah, his name doesn't get brought up much.
Yeah, Blake attacks that rim with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it's another guy, Bridges, that played in Charlotte.
Miles Bridges.
Miles, when he puts his mind to it, he jumps up there with any of them.
Wow.
As far as talent and power and finesse, he is a wonderful athlete. So, you have a lot of guys who in the ladies league who fit that bill. Giannis is another guy. Even though he's 6'11", it's the way he does it and a lot of time it's on people. It's not like in the open court. It's in a half court where he's throwing down on people with ease. So, it's a lot of guys that fits that bill in today's league.
I got a question. Is there a secret to dunking? Because I'm ashamed to say I can't play basketball because growing up, I didn't hang around kids my age. I hung around the grown-ups.
Right.
They would play football with me, but they wouldn't let me play basketball with them. And I'm 6'1". That's average. But I can't dunk to save my life.
Like I said, it's a God-given talent.
God damn.
He said you ain't an athlete.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, you have some big guys who can't dunk either. Don't believe me, I know some guys that's 6'7", 6'8", and they struggle touching the rim.
Oh, for real?
It's
just how you made, huh?
It's just how you made, man. I was just blessed with, God given jumping ability, and it seemed like it went through my family. All my brothers could play above the rim.
Oh, wow.
Both my sons could play above the rim. My youngest son really plays above the rim, and so I think it's inherited.
Yeah, because my youngest son, he was playing basketball. He's 18 right now, right? And I watch him at his games in high school, and some of those kids, they out there just bam dunking. I'm like, son, how come you can't dunk? he was like, I got your
That's what he said. He pointing at, you're the reason.
Yeah, I got heavy hands. I got heavy feet.
I started Googling how to do it and stuff. I saw people wearing certain shoes. They got the different things. I'm like, son, do this exercise.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
What's the favorite in-game dunk? Your favorite one of all time that you had?
Ooh, man. I get asked that question quite often. And tell you the truth, it's not one. I think the best games for me, in-game dunks for me, is on people. You get dunks in the open floor and stuff, but when you can get on 7-footers, that's my favorite dunks on 7-footers.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Just to show everybody you could do it.
Because it makes them think about the next time you trying to block my shot. I'm going to try to break your arm. That was my mentality.
I saw Bear playing basketball. He got dunked on, but I don't know why. He was standing there with his mouth open. And the dude was coming right for his face.
I said I was in the paint and I was going to protect the rim, and he just...
His mouth was open because he was ready to say,
I don't know what you about to say.
I was trying to protect the rim. I told you this.
You was
But
trying
they
to
got
rim
me out here
something
playing
else.
with all these guys. They're all 8 feet tall. What do you want me to do? I'm 5'5", shaped like a meatball.
But you know what? Something he said a few minutes ago, interesting. I used to play with a lot of older kids. I never played with kids my age.
Really?
And so I got good pretty quickly because of that. Because, hanging with them, you go through your ups and downs. You fall down more than you get up a lot of times when you're that age. But the older I got, I learned how to stay on my feet, so.
That's interesting. I saw a TikTok, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, and it said that kids that grew up playing like in a park or outside on asphalt tended to always be much more dominant than kids that grew up playing like private schools and inside.
Oh, there's no question.
Really?
Yeah, because first of all, you're tougher. You're learning how to play the game from a respect standpoint because when you play out in the playground, I mean, the guy's going to make sure you respect him, or you never got on the court. Or if you couldn't play, you didn't get on the court anyway. So you know, you got tested. You know, when you go into private schools and all that stuff, you ain't getting really getting tested like you are on the street.
True.
I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and at the time they had the highest crime rate in America. You know, when I was growing up there, and I learned how to play basketball on the streets. You know, I didn't play organized basketball, like I said, to 10th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. I played all my basketball was played on in summer league.
All those stories of you having to make money and playing in the park and playing people for
all
money.
True.
All outside.
All true.
You was like a pool shark of basketball.
Yeah, I was trying to be. I was trying to get paid, man, but it was the older kids that made me play for money.
No way.
They would make me play one-on-one with older kids and said, we're going to play for like $15 a game. If you win, we give you $4 or $5. I said, wait a minute, I'm doing all the work, right? We're putting up money. You just keep playing, young buck. And so they just taught me. They just taught me how to play the game, from a fundamental standpoint. I learned fundamentals of the game on the street because in Baltimore, everybody played basketball. Everybody either played basketball or ran track.
It's not a football place.
It wasn't so much in my neighborhood. It was mainly basketball. Man, we played basketball from sun up to sundown on the playground. I learned how to play basketball it was a schoolyard that had an 11-foot goal, and the goal was chains. It was all chains. And I was the only one in the neighborhood could dunk on that 11-foot goal.
Wow.
And I was 13 at the time.
You was dunking at 13?
13. Actually 12, but that particular goal was 13.
How tall were you?
I was probably at that time 5'9", 5'10".
So it ain't got nothing to do with height.
No, nothing to do with height. Nothing to do with height. Nothing.
Yeah, and how did you know that you had such crazy bounce? You just tried it one day. You're like, oh, I could do this, or
again, I started out in track.
Yeah.
And so everybody was trying to dunk on that particular goal in our neighborhood. Nobody could do it. And one day I thought, I want to try. And I just went up and kept going and threw it down. And the playground was quiet. Nobody knew what to do. Yeah. And then it just erupted, man. And that's when it kind of started for me. Wow. I said, I'm going to be dunking all the time now. Unfortunately, you get labeled as that,
Yeah.
But, of course, my game was much more than that. Yeah. But that was a lethal part of my game.
Working for the Hawks, I think you've been working for the Hawks for like 20 years?
Yes.
As a VP?
Over. Yeah.
And is it just as a VP of basketball, VP of player development, VP of just the
whole? I do several different things when it comes to Hawks. VP of basketball as far as the business side. Got some great people that I've been a part of and learned from for a lot of years. Work with, doing stuff with our owners. Also do television, do all the broadcasting for Bally Sports for the Hawks.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been doing this for quite some time.
You enjoy it?
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Travel can be a little challenging sometimes, especially as you start to get up there in age and you want to be more settled at home. But as far as, doing the games and being around the players, I love it. I love being around the guys.
And they have so much respect for you.
It
probably makes it a lot easier,
yes.
huh?
Yes, and we have a great ownership.
Yeah.
Tony Ressler and our ownership group is just wonderful guys. They treat me like I'm part of their family, and I couldn't thank them enough for that.
Yeah, and you carry yourself on a whole nother level. There's no doubt that, you're one of the top 75 basketball players of all time. You made the list. You were part of that anniversary. We saw a lot of controversy with the selections. Were you happy with the overall list, or you think some people got left out?
Oh, I'm happy with the list, but definitely some people got left out. And a couple come to mind, Kyrie Irving.
Wow.
Kyrie Irving, man.
Wow.
Kyrie Irving is special. David Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing how great he was. People don't really know how great he was. You look at Vince Carter. Could very easily be on that list as well. There's just a few guys that come roll off the top of my head that like, whoa, this guy might should have been in there.
I mean, Kyrie Irving probably has one of the best on-ball dribbling handles the league's ever seen. Why do you think he got left off the list?
Kyrie his own type of guy, and he's very opinionated and things he believes in, which should never be held against him. But from a talent level alone, how do you leave him off?
Yeah, he's incredible.
How do you leave him?
I thought they were going to win it all this year.
Hey, I mean, you know what, though? It came down for them, I think. I mean, you knew what Kyrie Irving and Doncic was going to do. But I think some of their size was an issue, But, hey, they got there.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely went to a city and said he was going to do what he wanted to do, and it showed that he's much more than just being like a LeBron James teammate, and I think that's cool, too. I think a lot of people love to – I feel like a lot, and this is from a fan, a lot of people like to label people's championships and then say, well, this guy got it for you. And I don't think people give enough teammates
You know
credit.
what? It's a team that gets it. It's not just an individual. If you look at the championships with Chicago, for example, Mike doesn't get 6 championships without those other pieces.
Yeah.
Scotty, Horace Grant, Kukoc, and eventually Dennis Rodman, and all those people, Kerr and Paxson. I mean, them are all special pieces to those championship teams. Yeah. And you can't win without it. You can't.
100%.
What do you think about the year you were going back and forth with the scoring title with Michael? Did it?
You know what, man? People ask me, this is the thing I say.
Yeah.
After a while, after competing with Mike on the scoring title, I said to myself, man, I'm getting tired of chasing this damn guy. You know what? Have at it. It was always a point, a tenth of a point.
Really?
Yeah, it was. He was something. He was a mother, man.
Yeah.
I mean, but we had some of the best competitions I think you ever going to see in the NBA from two individuals who just went head up, never made excuses. We just played.
Yeah, I mean, we see special talent. You have like Trey, you have Steph Curry. We see some modern day guys that are pretty special, and we've seen your involvement, obviously, with Trae Young.
Yeah.
What do you think about a player like that in today's time? Is he
Trey is a star.
Yeah,
no question. And the guy at his size and can do some of the things he's done offensively has been incredible, and just got one of the best court visions that you're going to see in a guy. As far as setting up players to be successful. He's a special talent. And it's great to see guys like him and Steph Curry go head up, or him and Kyrie go head up. I love to see great matchups. That's what the game is about.
Like one-on-one matchups? Like
one-on-one matchups. My first probably 8 games, you can argue say 8 Hall of Famers that I played. Had to go against Bird, 6'10". Had to go against Worthy at 6'10". You got Dr. J, Bernard King, English, Dantley, Mark Aguirre, Orlando, every night. And all these guys averaged over 20 to 25, to some of them almost 30 a game.
Wow.
And so you had no nights off. But it was that competition that made you who you are. Because I say all the time, only way you can measure your greatness, you got to play against the greatest. You got to compete against the greatest. In order to be called, hey, one of the greatest to ever do this,
facts.
you got to knock out the greatest fighter.
Like Pride. Pride was probably the closest thing we ever saw where the greatest only fought the greatest nonstop.
Yeah.
Like in today's time, we see a lot of ducking, right? I would say a lot of people.
You don't see that much ducking in MMA.
The fights aren't scheduled as much as we'd like to see.
Yeah.
With basketball, you guys got to go against each other every night.
Yeah. But like you said, in your sport, I mean, yeah, you might have some at a small level of, not fighting a certain fighter, but you got to fight whoever they put in front of you. And, you got to be convincingly if you want to be the best that you can be. And you've been there many times. And it just fascinates me that you can get an unknown person that come into that ring, that you can go in there thinking it's going to be an easy night. And it turns out to be a nightmare,
Yeah.
And so, because I watch a lot of MMA, and I've seen this little guys knock out guy. It seems like he's twice his size, just taking him for granted. So, you gotta compete against who they put in front of you.
Have you ever trained in the martial arts?
When I was younger, I used to do. It was probably 13 to 15. I was doing Taekwondo.
Oh, okay.
And it takes discipline.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of practice, patience. And you don't look at it as just you're gonna go out there and kick somebody's ass because you have martial arts. That's not what it is. It teaches you how to walk away from a fight more than engage in a fight. But it teaches you also how to defend yourself.
You ever had to use it out there on the courts?
No, I think I used it once when I retired. When a guy approached me after a game, and it was only a one-punch thing, but it worked out.
Wait, can we hear the story?
No, it's on the line. You can go on the internet. It's on the internet. Like Dominique Wilkins fight against a fan.
When he tried to attack you or something?
I think he was a little. I'm not know for sure, but he had been drinking and he kind of called me out. It was a bad timing, and he kind of lunged at me, and that didn't work out either. And you have to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And it was quick, but man, as soon as it happened, this lady was filming. And like, oh, you're looking good, Nick, but kick his ass, Nick. And I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be on TMZ tonight. Sure enough. So yeah, I had to hear about that for months.
But you didn't get in no trouble, nothing.
No, because it was nothing I did wrong.
It's good when people could defend themselves and just everything's okay.
Yeah, you just got to defend yourself.
That's all. That's what you do.
That's what I do. I don't start nothing. But I haven't had any problems.
But you know what? That's not we about enjoying life. When you compete at a certain level, that's what you get paid for. When you leave that, you're just that normal guy. I'm not Dominique, the human highlight film, when I leave the court. I'm just Nick, But when I'm, put in front of the fans and you put the popcorn in the stand, okay, let's go. We're gonna have a dog fight all night long.
Is it true they offered you a deal to go play in the Big Three?
They wanted me to coach. I wasn't playing. I was too old. I wasn't playing, but coach. But you know what? That league is really coming on strong.
Really?
It's coming on strong, and it's I think what Cube has done is a pretty unique thing. You giving guys who's no longer in the NBA a chance to keep playing. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, we saw there's like a 3-man Olympic basketball, and we just saw our Olympic team go win the gold, but I couldn't understand the 3-man Olympic basketball.
You know what? I think all of us are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
And just like anything for the first time, like you got breakdancing in the Olympics.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't think it's coming back.
No, it's not coming back.
I think 2028, they said no.
Now, if they put breakdancing in there, they could have put like jujitsu in there. They could have put MMA, kickboxing.
Baseball's not even in the
Dancing.
Olympics.
Yeah.
Breakdancing?
Dancing? No. What is that about?
Yeah.
Did you watch the basketball though?
I did.
The 3-man or the regular basketball?
I watched the U.S. team.
Yeah.
I tell you what, they got a couple scares, but the veteran experience, the shooters that U.S. team had, because I think when teams went zone against them, you can't zone a team that got great shooters. Like Steph Curry, because he hits that first 2 or 3, you can forget it. And that's what happened.
He's that special, huh?
Oh, special is an understatement.
Really?
Is he the best shooter you ever seen?
Yes.
Wow.
That's a great question.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
that's a great answer.
There's a lot of great shooters, and it's the way he does it, and the risk that he takes in taking some of them shots. Never seen anybody take shots. The only other guy I've seen take shots like that with risk, but his shots was all calculated, was Larry Bird.
Yeah, I knew you were finna say that one.
Oh, man. Yeah. So I would say they're right here together. But I think with Steph, it's the risk that he takes on some of the shots that he takes and makes. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 a game. I mean, you look and he has 8, 9 of those shots that he's made in the game. He's a special. And I saw him taking shots like that when he was a kid. He used to come to the game with his dad, Dale, in Charlotte, and him and his brother be out there shooting.
Wow.
So this kid was born to be a shooter.
Yeah. Some people, like you said, they just have it.
They just have it, And who you think they got it from? Got it from their dad, who was one of the greatest shooters to play in this game. but the fact that he was able to take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because what he did that his dad didn't have to do it is to bring it up, break people down offensively, and take those type of shots off the move. His dad was a catch and shoot guy. It was impossible to get to him in time because he was really fast coming off the screens, and he let it go in seconds. So Steph was able to take it to a different level. And you see what he's done. I mean, he had to crown, he had to calm down, say, just relax. I'll take care of this. Let me show you how you do this. So that was fun to watch.
Oh, it was incredible.
Has the U.S. team always won the gold medal in the Olympics?
I think we lost
once. Once or twice, I think.
Well, we had the Redeem team.
We had the Redeem team.
So
I think it was twice.
We had the Redeem team.
I remember when we was, on Dream Team 2. I mean, that was a special team. And we wanted to send a message. Like, nobody is going to stay even close to us. And I think our margin of victory was 25 to 30 a game. That was a special team, one, I can speak for 1 and 2 because that was the era that I was up and close and personal with a lot of those guys and knew how they played the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Dream Team 1, man. I mean, that team was ridiculous. Ridiculous, I mean, you call it.
I mean, that's got to be probably the greatest team we've ever sent to an Olympics, right? Besides maybe this year.
I think Dream Team 1 and Dream Team 2 was two of the
the Kobe
teams,
year too. We can't forget about
the
the Kobe year.
Yeah.
The Kobe with LeBron and D Wade was a crazy year.
Well, that year, that first Dream Team, there's a lot of great players in their prime still on that team. And the only reason why I didn't get on that team, I was injured. I had tore my Achilles tendon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so
I didn't want to ask you.
So Dream Team 2, I was asked to play in Dream Team 2, which was a special team, big, talented. I mean, you had 2 forwards that nobody even talk about who was on that Dream Team. Derek Coleman was pound per pound one of the best power forwards played this game, and Sean Kemp. Those dudes was
Kemp
animals.
was insane.
And animals.
I forgot Kemp was even on the team.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then you had Shaq and Alonzo Mourning at center. You had myself, you had Larry Johnson, you had Reggie Miller, you had Mark Price, and Dan Marley was on that team as well. So, and Isaiah was on him, but he was hurt. So, that was a deep team.
Yeah. Do you feel like in terms of like the dream teams, like you can't really label any more of these USA teams the dream team because of that dream team number 1, like the original dream team?
No, well, you know what? You can't. Really.
You can?
I say you can't because they were the originals, like you said, and it was done at a time when nobody saw it coming, but I think they knew at that time they had to make a change, because we was having a rough time, in past, Olympic years. So when they put that team together, like everybody said, hey, the world can forget it. Ain't nobody gonna come close to this team, and nobody did.
Yeah, that's incredible to go out there and represent your country. You also won with the FIBA championship in '94, right? Is that the one you guys?
Yeah,
won?
we won the first European championship for Greece, which a team I played for called Panathinaikos.
Yeah.
So we won the first European championship, and they've won 6 or 7 since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. We saw a statue go up for Kobe in LA, and you have a statue in Atlanta. How special is it to be recognized on that level?
When you're growing up as a kid, you never can imagine or envision anything like that.
Yeah.
And, you want to, I said I want to be one of the greatest players to ever play and, be a Hall of Famer, but you never really put that much thought in that early in your career, Yeah. And then, I thought that, that would be a distant memory, But when they start talking about doing a statue and they show me a rendering of it, the actual sculptor out of Boston, and I looked at it, I was like, wow, that speaks to everything that I am as a person, as a man. And I said, that would be a great silhouette for the statue. And I didn't really feel it until the curtain dropped. I thought the curtain would pull up, but when it dropped and you had that beautiful bronze, statue, man, I was so emotional I couldn't cry. You
didn't cry?
I tried, but it was just I was just in awe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did later that evening after it all hit me. But the craziest thing is, as I'm going downtown, they had a bus to take me and my family and friends. And I get downtown, there's an officer holding a sign. And then I look up, it's a sign on the street. I said, why do they have my name up on the street sign? And then my brother said, dumbass, it's your street.
They named the street after
Named the street after me. And my brother said, dumbass, that's your street now.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Oh.
You didn't know they was giving you a street?
No, I didn't realize it.
Did you buy a house on that street?
Well, I got a lawn chair. I go down there every weekend and sit with the statue. A big fella, we come a long way.
Did they give you a smaller one to take home with you?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's dope.
Yes.
That's dope.
That has I gave this different family members, but yeah, that was a special moment, man. And it's still to this day, man. It's unbelievable. For me.
Yeah,
that's dope.
When people talk about dunkers, a lot of people have thoughts. A lot of people have opinions, and you're obviously much more than a dunker, but you're probably the most famous dunker of all time. One thing I want to do, I wanted to say some names, and you just tell me the first word that comes to mind. Something that comes to mind when you hear this name: Vince Carter,
Insane.
Michael Jordan,
Different.
Spud Webb,
Unbelievable.
Shaq,
A man child.
I believe that.
I gotta know why you call him that.
Hey, man, because he is a massive man, right? But he's a kid at heart. He is the funniest guy, and he's always smiling and joking about something. He's like a big kid.
Yeah. I love that. It reminds me of you.
shut
You're like
up.
a big kid. He always wants Happy Meals, always wants a toy with his food.
True story. When I go to Japan, they call me Shaq.
Yeah.
They say, Shaquille in there. I'm like, man, what? I'm nowhere near. I guess I'm as tall to them as he is.
Hey, you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point.
Shaq or Bob Sapp. That's what he gets called every
yeah,
time
yeah,
he goes to
I
Japan.
get
wow.
I get called Bob Sapp.
I had two more. Blake Griffin.
Powerful.
Julius Erving.
He's a ballerina with sneakers. He's the granddaddy of us all.
That's a crazy. Do you consider him like the pioneer of dunking?
Oh, no question.
And magic above the rim. Yeah.
Dr. J made dunking sexy. Made it fashionable, man. And it was entertainment. Started with Dr. J.
I hate doing this because he hates when I give him flowers, but it reminds me a lot about you with the chain and the branding and the way you came into MMA. No, because one thing people don't talk about is you made being a fighter, the imagery of it, more than just being a fighter, but cool, like street art, like streetwear, like style, like the emotion to it. And even the Jaxxon podcast Discord, we have a massive Discord where they get to go in and ask us questions, hundreds of people in that thing all day. They always ask us questions about who made your chain, where'd you get your shorts, where'd your style come from? Because in Japan was having 80,000 people watch these guys fight. Over here, it wasn't even close. So that's a really cool way of thinking about it.
Dr. J did was he the first one to make it popular, or he's the first one?
He was the first one, man. And some of the stuff that he did, and you look in the ABA, when it was like he was out there dancing, and it was like it was choreographed. Some of the stuff he did, and if you look at a lot of the games that he played in, and some of the guys he was throwing it down on. I mean, he threw it down hard, but he made it look fashionable, when he was doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw the dunk, it's still famous to this day in LA, in the championship game, he's coming down the left-hand side and he's rocking it side by side. And Michael Cooper is coming out to meet him. And they both jumped. And then Michael Cooper came to his senses and he just ducked. And he finished. That was the finishing play in that championship.
Damn.
Yeah. I always say he the grandfather of us all. I always say he the best. because of what he's created and what he's made popular for guys like myself.
Yeah.
Is him.
I want to go back and find like the first footage of the first dunk that happened in NBA, because I saw some movie they was making it. I was scrolling TikTok. They were talking about the first dunk, and the referees and stuff, they thought it was illegal or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, Kareem, they took dunking out of college basketball because of him.
Oh wow!
No
And they
way.
thought that would slow him down. It didn't. You know, I think he lost one college game.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the next name on the list, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem is hard to describe one word for Kareem. You know, I mean, you know, he was the captain, man. He was the captain, man. He was a silhouette. You know, that sky hook is the world's famous shot. You know, it's not one word to describe the Kareem.
LeBron James.
Simply amazing.
And last on the list, Dominique Wilkins.
I'm just human. Highlights gone.
You're always a human highlight to us, man. You're an inspiration to everybody. You did it. How you say fashionable and what he did for you is how we look at your game. As we get ready to wrap up this interview, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming. First of all, it's a complete honor to have you on here. We just had the late, great Jerry West. You know, he passed away, and we had him on here, and that was one of the best conversations we ever had.
I was with him a couple months before he passed at his home, myself and Agent Darren Prince. And it was some of the best moments I've ever had in my basketball career. Those few hours I spent with him was unbelievable.
He was
Because,
a great guy.
it's a guy that, you know, I idolized growing up too, and just knew the things that he did away from the court as well. And I had a lot of respect for Jerry, and he's going to be missed.
Yeah, he had amazing conversations.
Yeah, he was a great guy. Great guy. He was nice to everyone here and very personable and patient with everybody.
Yeah, that's who he was, man. He was just a guy. He wanted everybody to smile and have a great life, you know, and want everybody to do well.
Yeah.
So he was special like that, and you know, condolence to him and his family, and you know, losing a great person like that, you know, it's tough.
When I knew he was cool is when I asked him, how was it raising Kanye West? He looked at me like I was crazy, like, what? And I called him like Mr. Drummond from what, Different Strokes. That's when I knew he was cool. I'm like, he's cool.
Him and Rampage shared some funny jokes.
Oh man, that's good.
He had just bought a brand new car, and it was a really nice car, and the heater was on the whole way here. He drove it with the heater on. And I said, man, you drove all the way down here with your car heater on to be in this podcast, even though it couldn't turn off. He goes, well, I didn't want to be late. I'm like, God damn, dude, you're one of the
special guys.
one of the greatest to ever do it. And you drove an hour in your car with the heat blasting, sweating, just so you wouldn't be late. Like, and nobody would do that, you know?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, you know, when we was talking during that time I spent with him, he said, I wished I could have had you and James Worthy at the same time. He said, even to this day, I think about that. I said, well, it would have been nice to play with James too. Believe me.
Oh, that would have been lethal.
You know,
man. You guys would have had like 12 rings. You guys would have never stopped winning.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, you guys would have never stopped doing it.
You know.
And one thing is our Jaxxon podcast Discord, before we let you go, they said it's very hard to get intellectual analysis of basketball, and these analysts are constantly always giving us these random thoughts, but someone that's their opinion holds water and holds weight is yours. And so they wanted to know, in a modern day matchup, like how these games would fit. So basically, if Larry Bird were to go one-on-one versus Kawhi, who would win?
I'm never going against Larry Bird. Okay.
Really?
And I love Kawhi Leonard. Larry Bird was special, man. And he was 6'10", like 240, 245, playing that small forward. Larry had very few weaknesses in the game, but he had a heart of a lion and a basketball IQ off the charts. I can speak for that because I played against him for 11, 12 years. He was a son of a bitch.
Wow.
And to put it mildly.
Wow. That says a lot coming from him, because Kawhi Leonard's probably one of the best in the game.
Oh, I'm taking nothing from him. And like I said, I played against Larry, so I can speak to that more. I've watched Kawhi, and I love Kawhi. He's an amazing player, and especially when he's healthy.
Michael Jordan and Steph Curry.
You know, those are two more guys that for the next probably 50 years, 60 years, you're gonna still be talking about these guys. All right.
Scottie Pippen and Tatum.
Is that a question more about them
Yeah,
going
they're
against one another?
Yeah.
Well, Scottie will make it harder for him.
Yeah.
Scottie could guard, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, Scottie 6'8", 6'9", could guard most positions. So you're gonna if you score against Scottie, you've earned it because he could guard.
Yeah. Joel Embiid, Karl Malone.
Two different positions, power forward going against the center. You know, Joel Embiid is a big dude, and when he decides to play around that basket, ain't nobody stopping him. Karl Malone, I love. That's like my brother. One of the greatest power forwards, pound for pound, that ever played this game.
Was Wilt Chamberlain still playing when you was coming?
see, you go see what I'm saying.
No.
See how he went there, right? See how he went there.
I want to know.
You've been doing that to me the whole podcast. You wasn't getting enough laughs. You want one more before we end?
Yeah.
I'm old, but I ain't that old.
Come on.
Hey, hold on. I knew him, but I didn't play.
Hey, y'all didn't hear me when I said earlier. I used to be a hater of basketball because Memphis, we didn't have our own team.
Yeah, you sure didn't for a long time.
For a long time, so I was a hater, bro.
Well,
how old is Wilt?
crazy.
How old is Wilt Chamberlain?
Like 100 years older than him.
I know, but he was with Jerry.
I had a lady ask me, "I know you." She said, "You Bill Russell." I'm like, stop.
called you Bill.
Oh yeah, I like, lady, finish shopping.
Listen, before we let you go, your favorite memory of all time in the NBA as a player.
My favorite memory is the first time I played against Dr. J, because that was my idol. And I was in awe. I was stuck. I didn't know what to say. And I was like, man, I grew up wanting to be, I don't know what to say. He said, look, there's only one Dr. J, there's one Dominique Wilkins. But since they calling you the next doctor, you might well start learning. And that meant the world to me. I think he had 30-something tonight, but I wasn't upset. I said, that's the doctor, So, yeah, that's my favorite moment. And, man, just being able to shake his hand and play against him because I grew up all those years. All those guys in the neighborhood love Dr. J. He was an idol for most people around the country.
Incredible.
And so that was my welcome to the NBA moment.
Wow.
That's got to be one of the most incredible things to go against someone like that, your idol, and then see him on the court.
And he was good, baby.
And I'm going to let you go. The Jaxxon Podcast Discord doesn't stop blowing me up, so I guess I got to ask you one more thing before you go. They said the greatest GOAT debate of all time is LeBron James and Michael Jordan.
I know you're tired.
But why does Kobe Bryant get left off the list?
Well, I don't believe in the GOAT. It's the GOATs, It's because it's different eras, different time. You just can't say that about one guy, because, different eras, you play differently, defensively, offensively. So I just think all those guys are great, so I'm not a big on saying, no, this guy's better than that guy.
Yeah.
It's not fair. They're all great. They're all great.
Yeah.
They're all up there.
Yeah, that's respect. That's respect.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's about what you contribute to the game that makes you great. But when you put one guy above the rest, man, I think it's just kind of disrespects the whole.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
probably the best way I've ever heard it put.
Yeah.
Without having to rank them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're already ranked. They're already the best. You don't need to be better. You're already better.
Yeah.
You're better than the rest.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Listen, it's incredible to have you here. The basketball talk is through the roof. I'm glad that Rampage loves basketball, because before he wouldn't let us have basketball guests on. He heard you were coming. He said, "Oh no, he could come."
Yeah, and I tell you, man, I'm a lot younger than Wilt Chamberlain. All right.
I was just going to ask you.
Are you out your mind?
No, I was just going to ask him when he saw Wilt Chamberlain, was he with a bunch of baddies? That's all I was going to ask, because he got that record. Like,
I don't know if all that's true though.
No.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
20,000, 26,000.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. Mathematically impossible.
What? He got good game, no?
Well, his game was really good.
Yeah.
But that's mathematically impossible.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
I admit sometimes it was 4 a night.
Still, man.
It's still impossible. I don't want to believe that, though.
410. I mean, That's a stretch.
Couple 20-piece nights, maybe.
Wait a
maybe
minute,
drop
hold
a
on.
10.
Wait. I know you a strong, tough man, but come on.
He said 20. No. The most is probably like 3.
What's your body count, Barry? Be honest. We can't ask like
3, 4. I wait till marriage.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
Dudes.
Hey, thank you for watching the Jaxxon podcast. Rampage Jaxxon, one of the greatest. Dominique Wilkins, one of the greatest. And I'm Barry Degidio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.